making it accessible, making it a level playing field for everybody. And where we're starting with that is 2024 planning. We have a sub project we call Level 11. And it is meant to be to take our experience as Camino5. Worked for around 27 years in the digital space. I have worked for 15 years only in digital marketing. Before that, a combination of digital marketing and UX and development. And we, as such, we've worked with corporate Fortune 500 and Fortune 50 clients, worked with Chase Banks, worked with P&G brands like Tide, Brita Water Systems, Gillette, things like places like that, and have worked with startups that have made it, for example, Flutterwave, Simply Human, and those types of that. And what our goal is to take some of these lessons that have been applied to these Fortune 500 companies and these startups that have made it and make them more accessible, get them out there, and allow you guys to have the ability to it. Because there's a massive misconception about marketing. A massive misconception, particularly in startups and entrepreneurs. The misconception is that it takes these complicated formulas, that it takes a lot of deep knowledge. Now, it does on the tactical aspect, but to control your marketing, to control your planning, to control your company, the concepts that go into that are relatively open to anybody. They're not to say simple, but they're accessible. You don't require a deep understanding of strong data. They require a deep understanding of who your company is, what your goals are, and who your clients are, who your customers are. And that's what these frameworks are. And that's what I wanted to set this up. And I'm going to be walking you through a framework today, and then I'm going to be giving you this framework as a download so you can use it. You can use it with your own company, and you can use it with your clients. But this is the exact framework that we've used for Chase credit cards. Once again, we've used this for Tide, we've used this for Gillette, we've used it at Unilever, we've used it at Philips, as well as multiple small companies and startups. So if there's no questions on that, we'll kick right into it. Here is the number one misconception when it comes to planning. Everybody thinks planning is about the data. Planning doesn't start with the data. It's about the questions that you ask yourself. Once you create that planning, then you can get into your execution and tactical planning, which is about the data. Most places try to jump right into the executional planning, and they skipped this step. And this is just a nice phrase I always like to throw in there. Brand is for tomorrow, marketing is for today, sales is in the moment. What we're talking about right now is marketing. And what we mean by this is brand is very long-term. Brand, you think 6 months and years out. Marketing, you think weeks, months, and quarters, generally. Sales, you think of today and the first out of the week. What this planning for is how you plan your marketing. This is how you look at yourself going, I like to do marketing, generally speaking, up to 1 year out, sometimes 18 months out if you have a long enough budget. And like we said, companies, only 40% of companies do start of year planning, first of all. So by being here, you're in that elite 40%. 70% of marketers cannot answer any performance questions of the accounts that they're running. They can give generalities, but they can't answer these questions that we're going to ask you. And 6% of companies closing the door cite adapting to changing market too late as the reason why. And what this framework does is it allows you to answer those questions, and it allows you to see what's coming so you can adapt to it quickly over the course of the year. And like we said, planning is about knowledge and vision. Planning isn't tactics. Tactics is the execution of your planning. So we've broken this down into 5 categories. The first thing you always want to know, and this changes frequently, is what is the situation you're marketing into? Now, this may seem like simple and basic, but you'd be surprised at how many even large companies we work with didn't know this. We worked with one company, I was at a different agency, a company called Art of Shaving, and they were losing $20 million a quarter. We did this exercise with them once a month for 6 months, and they were able to figure it out, what their new markets were, what their situation was, and turn it into an $80 million a quarter brand again. And once again, we're giving you these for you to download. You will have this workbook, and this is a workbook for you to use and your client to use. The first thing is your vision. What is your vision for 2024? What are your business goals? And do you have a roadmap for our company for 2024? My vision for 2024 is to have 500 entrepreneurs and startups in the Level 11 program accessing, and my vision is also to have 24 frameworks within Level 11 for them and to be giving them 2 talks a month. That is my vision for 2024. Notice how specific it was. Here's the reason why. Like I said, I want to have 500 startups or entrepreneurs and providing at least 28 frameworks and doing 2 of these a month. The reason why is your vision sets the context for your business goals. Now, I can create 5 business goals that I need to achieve to make that vision happen. And then I need to create the roadmap for that vision. So, and I kind of outlined my roadmap for that vision already in my vision, but now I can get more granular. In order to achieve 500 startups by the end of the year, I need to average 50 startups a month. So my roadmap is do an average of 50 signups a month to my program. In order to do that, I need to have at least 2 of these and average attendance of 20. This is the importance of giving clarity into that vision, because your vision gives your roadmap, and your roadmap is the plan. Understanding what your capabilities are, what they are today, and what your wish list is to get those. Because what this does is this forces you to be real. A lot of times people are just lying to themselves or lying to their bosses or lying to their VCs about, yeah, we can do that. We have the ability to do that. And when you tally up the hours of what your resources says is, as a founder, as a startup, you may be tapping yourself for 80 hours a week, or you may tapping as a sub-employee and you're saying, I'm realizing that I'm laying them out for 80 hours a week, and that's not going to happen. This is your chance of being real with your in-house capabilities, your outsourced capabilities, the agents and freelancers you work with, and your wish list. This is an important thing to put down, because as we get into it, we start looking at your market, your facts, and later we get into your channels. This allows you to know what channels you can most reliably be marketing into and using. Does that make sense to everybody? So what are your capabilities? I always want to ask the question. What I mean by capabilities are, what are your marketing capabilities? What resources do you have the ability to use right now? How you use this is simply put in here, right in this one, what capabilities are in-house.
Okay, I see what you mean.
And then outsource capabilities. Place it in there and talk about this. And there's a very good reason why it all layers together in the end. And then your wish list then may be, I really want to get into display. So my wish list would be somebody that does display freelancer, or a creative graphic designer might be your wish list. Because this is, your planning isn't about what you're currently doing. Your planning is about what you want to do at the end of the year to reach this vision and business goals. Then the next thing you want to do is you want to talk about your market. And then just, market and then audience. Market is the neighborhood. Market is the area that you're marketing into. Your audience are the people in that neighborhood, to steal from Mr. Rogers. Who knows who Mr. Rogers is? The beloved kids show, who are the people in your neighborhood, in your neighborhood. So you want to put down the market or markets that you are marketing into, that you're in. And for example, your market may be as broad, you start as broad as solar. You want to niche your market down, portable solar. Then you might want to niche that down. Your market is solar lights. So you see how we took his market, which was really broad, and said solar power, because that's what he talked about. But he's actually, a sub-market for that is portable solar. And a sub-market for that he really focuses on right now is solar lighting. And then what are the facts that you know about that market? And your market is also geographic, but then you list out the facts that you know. And here's the most important thing. One of the most important things in this exercise, this is the golden thing to get out of this. What are your predictions for the market? Because your predictions for the market, you know this better than anyone else. You know your market, your predictions is where your white space is. And your white space is where you grow. If you're in the market as everyone else, you're going to slug it out. And if you don't do your predictions, you're going to slug it out. And you're going to be fighting against big companies and small companies alike. It's in your predictions of what you think is going to happen that you can start talking about, that you can move into. That's that white space. For example, for us, we do consumer journey marketing a lot. We have two predictions. One prediction is SEO has completely changed. No one's caught on to it yet. And it's now connected SEO. And SEO is no longer just about your website. And it's no longer about the company. It's only about the person. Google has signaled this. And that's our prediction for 2024. And we're building products. We're leaning into that hard in our marketing. Our other prediction is that given the opportunity, that this year and next year are the years for startups. That because of what's happened at Silicon Valley Bank, because we no longer have a culture of growth at all costs, that sustainable startups with strong foundations are going to be the flavor for the next 2 years. And we're leaning heavy into that now with our marketing too. So those are our two predictions. We're going to lean into that, and that's dictating a lot of our marketing efforts. So that's why it's important to have your predictions that you can lay your hat on. We're going to do the same marketing that we always did too. We're going to talk to people about general marketing. We're experts in all kinds of the same marketing stuff we've always been doing consumer journeys. And we're not going to turn any of that off. We're just going to make sure that we weave the predictions that we believe in into our marketing for the year. Does that make sense?
Yes.
This is something that most people don't do. They just stop at the facts. Then you do it for your audience. Once you watch Mr. Rogers' video, your market is the neighborhood. Your audience are the people in your neighborhood. Up in Sabitha, I know Sabitha, one of the people that he talks about is people in college or school, people getting education. So they have light at night to read by. Those are the people. The market might be portable solar lighting, but the people are the people attending college or the people attending primary school who need lighting at night because because power is unstable. So it's really important to break out your market and your audience. This is another huge failure point. Most marketing companies don't approach market then audience. They either do market or the audience. A way to stand out and a way to get your clients to tell you the answers to their own questions is to frame it in market and audience. Because when you do that, you see clients' light bulbs go on and they start telling you the answers to their problems and you seem brilliant. Well, a market is made up of people.
Okay.
And a market is very general and people have specific needs. Markets don't have needs. Markets have problems. People have needs and wants. When you do the market problem, follow that up with understanding people's needs and wants, because that's what creates brand loyalty, or that's what makes people like the products, when you answer their needs and their wants. Markets are just problems. Sabbatha has a problem, which is that their electrical grid is unstable sometimes, and the lights can go off. He solves that problem with portable solar lights. But people have a need. Their need is they want to get an education so they can achieve a life goal. He helps them meet that need. So you see how I've switched from the market problem to a person's need?
Yeah.
Now I can easily write ad copy around that for the year. And I can target that person in that market. And the reason for this also is it eliminates waste. Because if I just marketed to people who needed solar power lights, then I might be spending a lot of time on people who, I don't know, are in a sub industry that I really don't care about. For example, sewer workers who work underground. Solar power will work for them, but it's portable lights. Now, every penny I spend marketing to them on my ad budget is wasted. But now I have a much more fine-tuned profile by default for the next year of how to target for my money. Then two is channels. And this is the first part is easy. List out the channels you're active in. Generally speaking, nobody's inactive in more than 6 channels, and rarely is it 6 channels. And I'll be honest with you, I've worked with budgets that are $100 million for Procter & Gamble and stuff like that. They're not active in 6 channels for their product lines. If you're active in more than 6 channels, then your problem is you have a problem, which is you're too diversified. You're too scattered. You need some focus. So what channels are you active in? And then look at that and take your channels, your top 1/3, your top, if you have 6, your top 2 channels, and say what the channel is and why you consider them your top channel. Here's the important thing and why I said write your channel down and why. Notice that Sabbatha said his why was it was the most cost efficient.
Yes.
Sabbatha didn't mention anything about conversion rate. He didn't mention anything about where that's where the market is. To him, it's the most cost efficient, which right there tells you a lot about how you're going to do 2024 planning. He should look at that and say to himself, it might be the most efficient, but is that where I make the most money? Where Haman might look at that and say, that's where the market is. Is that where the market's going? And do the same thing for your bottom 2 channels. And why? Section 3 is the last thing we call follow the money, and then you pull it all together. So follow the money is quite simple. What channel drove sales? What did not drive sales? And I'll give you guys a big hint. One of the things that we're driving at in looking at your top 2 and your bottom 2 and what channel drove sales and what did not drive sales is just because a channel didn't drive sales, a lot of people will turn off, and that channel might be driving the traffic that then drives sales. So it's very important to look at it from the point of looking at what channel drove sales, and then how much revenue did it drive? What did not drive sales, and did it lead to an eventual sale? And what were your leading KPIs? Just a very basic KPI sheet. If a person, as part of this, if a person has any questions about what the KPIs are, but I get the feeling that all of y'all are pretty much solid on your KPIs. But what are the leading KPIs? You know, like the primary KPIs for sales is clicking the sales button. But what's the leading KPIs? Is it impressions? Is it another click through? If you're an e-commerce site, it might be a click through to the product. It might be the view of a secondary page. It might be the viewing of a video if you're lead generation. Making sure that you're looking at what your leading KPIs are. Because that is something that most companies forget and don't look at. They only look at the primary KPIs, which are the ones directly associated with the sale or with the conversion. But what are your leading KPIs? And then I want you to look at what channel drove revenue. Now notice I'm differentiating between sales and revenue. Particularly if you're doing any e-commerce business, you need to differentiate between sales and revenue. Remember when I started, sales is about the moment, marketing is about tomorrow, revenue is about tomorrow. Revenue is lifetime value of a person. Revenue is how much money that you can get, how much money that person brings in, how over the long course. Sales is how much you get out of that person only in this transaction. So you need to make sure that you break this down for revenue and sales, because there's an old adage that the most dangerous quarter for a company is usually their best sales quarter, because a lot of companies have major declines after their top sales quarter. The reason why is the optimize towards sales at the cost of revenue. And you need to be balancing out revenue and sales, or you need to at least be aware of that. Some companies are all about sales, and that's fine, but you need to make that educated decision, be aware of it. And that's why the next question we always have the client answer is, what is more important, sales value or cart value versus LTV, lifetime value? What is more important to your company? The immediate sales or the LTV? For example, a lot of supplement brands, we've worked with a lot of supplement brands in the past, and they don't care about sales. They care about revenue and LTV. They'll give affiliate partnerships out at 50% to 100% off of their first 2 sales, because they know by the 4th sale of a subscription brand that they're in the green. And that directly affects your approach in marketing. So you just need to be aware of that and look at, is it cart value and sales versus revenue and LTV? You have to tell me right now, but just be aware of that. And I'll tell you this, one of my favorite things is to ask a client this. What's more important to you? Cart value, today's sale, or revenue and LTV? It depends. To everybody, it depends. What it does is you just need to make a purposeful decision on which one it is for you right now. And this is why it's part of your yearly planning. Because as he was just saying, as you go from one maturity level of your company to another, it may switch from sales to revenue. And if you're still focused on sales the next year and you've switched to revenue, you're going to lose a lot of money because your marketing is out of alignment. That's why this is an important part of your yearly planning. And then what channel has poor KPIs, but you just know they drove revenue? A lot of times a company has a channel that you're just like, the numbers just look bad, but I know without this channel, we would fail. Just write that down, capture that channel, and capture that why it is. And keep that in the back of your head, because it may be that as you look across all the KPIs for all channels, you may discover some bridge KPIs. Now it's your capabilities. Just because you should doesn't mean you can. And what this is this is a good reality check. And I do this with every client almost. This is just basically, here are the various phases, capabilities. Label down 1 through 5, what internally you have expert knowledge of, what 5-bit expert and don't. Reporting, multi-channel strategy, understand your audiences, budget allocations. This ladders back to what we said before about your internal capabilities. Because once you've done this and just gone through these and reality, instead of reality, I might be to be quite honest, me personally, I am a 5 at reporting. I am a 4 at testing and optimization. I'll tell you the truth. I'm a 2 at execution. I will always know that, therefore, I will lean heavy into reporting and lean heavier into test and optimization, and I will always look for external resources now for execution. And this is just allows you to approach your budgeting with more reality. And now what this is now you bring it all together. Go back to your page 5, write down your vision, your business goal, and the roadmap really shortly. You know, go to pages 7 and 8 and say what your market was last year and what your market is this year. And now you can say, hey, here's what it was last year. Here's what it is this year. Last year for us, it was all about medium businesses. This year, it's all about startups. So what are we going to do? Here is just at a high level how we're going to approach it differently. Last year was all about lamps. This year, I'm making this completely up, guys. This year is all about lamps and solar powered string lighting. Here's what we're going to do about it. That means, oh, wait, that means it's a new market. I just can't go to the same market. This lets your mind put this down to paper and think that way. And same thing for the audience last year and the audience this year. Your top channel. You know, what was your top channel? What was your worst channel? What are you going to do about it? Maybe your worst channel you've realized with the KPIs as maybe Facebook was your worst performing channel, but maybe it was your worst channel because you were using it wrong, and you see that it also was the channel you put in there that I just know it's doing well. Here's what I'm going to do about that. I'm going to take a course. I'm going to bring in a freelancer, or I am going to start measuring a new KPI set. And here's where it gets interesting. Channels, once you look at that and all the channels, capabilities, what are the channels to amplify? What are the channels you want to lean into more? And what are the channels you want to pull back on, and why? And then write the plan. How are you going to do that? You may not want to pull back on a channel all at once. You may say, I need to do a gradual pullback of going down from spending 100K, making these numbers up, 100K a month to 50K a month on Facebook, but I need to balance that out with, at the same time, doing a cross raise of 50K to 100K a month on Instagram. And I'm going to do that over 4 months because I need to bring in a freelancer to tell me how to do Instagram. You see how now it's all playing together? How your capabilities, what you can do, what channels are working, and your plan and how you're going to get that is all shaping up together. This is what this framework forces you to do. The last thing is LTV or cart value. Like we said before, and as I was brought up before, an early stage startup may be all about cart value, but as you progress, it may switch to LTV. Give that consideration. You may say, hey, in July, we're going to switch. Write that down, plan that out, because that affects your marketing plan. And then here is just quite simply channels. All these worksheets are is now you have all the knowledge. Now it's just write down, here's the channels we're going to use, and here's my top 2 KPIs for each channel. And then your budget, your current capabilities, the capabilities you have to get to reach it, and the capabilities you don't need anymore. And here's the most important thing also that most companies don't do. You don't drop capabilities. Particularly if you're a small, medium business, a startup, dropping capabilities that you don't need, either outsourcing them to a freelancer or simply not doing them anymore, allows you to get the capabilities that you just discovered you need to grow. So don't be, this is one of the things that most companies don't do and is key to success, capabilities to drop. And there you go. Then you brought it all together, your channel, how important it is, your capability, your KPI 1 and 2, and then who's going to do it? You're going to do it, a freelancer's going to do it, stuff like that. So now you can be realistic about your approach to 2024. And that is exactly the process that P&G for brands like Tide, brands like Gillette, that Philips goes through. That's the exact same process you go through at least once a year, often twice a year, to plan their marketing for the next year. Now you can start planning budgets. Now you can do tactics.